Good morning and welcome to this great conversation. Now, climate change is defining a crisis of our time. The urgency to act to respond to the climate emergencies as well as the serious consequences of continued inaction are very clear. There have been global commitment to accelerate internal climate action for the energy organizations to demonstrate leadership. Now Uganda and other countries responding to the climate change with a 10-year plan that sets out the fundamentals of transforming the operations to achieve the ambitious reduction in emissions, which generate long-term efficiencies and benefits to sustainable development efforts overall. Intensification. This is meant to aim at accelerating the current efforts, including the underway with the implementation of the environment strategy for field missions with the reinforcement existing systems and capacity. Now, the main focus will be on the behavior change linked to the consumption energy efficiency. Now, this is connected to existing renewable grids where possible and some limited renewable energy self-generation, and then the innovation. This is a major new effort focused on the innovation and the complex solutions that require external interventions and partnerships, including scaling up new technology and purchasing renewable energy in field locations from new private or public sector-owned renewable energy facilities. And this brings us to the great discussion today dubbed Emergency Response, Climate Action and Renewable Energy. In studios with me, I have Dr. Brian E. Isabide. He's the Commissioner for Renewable Energy Department, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. We have Ms. Kotilda Nacheyune, the Program Manager, Climate Justice Program and Care International in Uganda. And we have Engineer Alexander Komakech Akena, Chairperson, Uganda National Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency Association. Now, this program is powered by Care International, Ministry of Energy and the Uganda National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association. I'm Andrew Chamagero, and this conversation is started. Be a part of it on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Good morning, my great pan.
Good morning.
That was such a mouthful of introduction to this conversation. Good morning, Kotilda.
Good morning.
I love it when I see women at the forefront of these conversations about energy.
Yes.
First of all, as a lady in your portfolio where you are, what do you think of the renewable energy conversation, especially for the Ugandan context?
Very good question. That is at the heart of what we do as care, because our target group is women and girls. And when you're talking about renewable energy, especially cooking solutions, you are talking about a major role for the woman. You know, in African society, it is the women who put food on the table. Now, the process they go through, especially looking for energy to make that food ready and, serve it to the family, is sometimes not as easy. So it takes long hours. The cooking process is not that healthy. It's not that clean. Lots of smoke that the women inhale. But also sometimes it's, in the process of looking for this energy, this fuel wood, because most of the households use charcoal or firewood in the villages. In the process of looking for this firewood, some of these women have been molested. Some of these women have been attacked. So it is at the heart of what we do as care, but also for me as a woman, because I also cook in my household. So if you bring energy solutions that address cooking, make it easier, make it less cumbersome, reduce on the time, that I'm going to spend cooking, you're definitely responding to a very big need of I as a woman and many other women across the country. So as we are talking about renewable energy, we are talking about not only solutions for cooking, we are also talking about solutions for lighting. We are talking about solutions for powering, many other gadgets that we have. People being able to just charge a phone. They're not connected to any powers, any grid. They're not connected to the women that we know. But they're able to charge their phone and communicate to the rest of the world. That is quite important, and especially for a woman who is not going to be moving to the trading centers because she's very busy at home, looking after children, taking care of the home. So if there is a power source at home that she can be able to charge her phone and remain connected to the world, that is very, very critical. So renewable energy is at the heart of
I love that. When you hear what she says, to me, it comes in two contexts. One is that a mother or a woman is in position to run after her dreams, given the renewable energy, options that are given to her. But again, she says that having energy, whether you're on grid or not on grid. Now, in your context, let's talk about the affordability. Is renewable energy affordable, especially to the layman Ugandan in the, in the rural areas?
Yeah, thank you very much. Uganda is endowed with quite a lot of resources. We have substantial amounts of hydro resources.
Yeah.
We have enough wind, particularly in northeastern Uganda. We also have abundant solar. We have a lot of biomass resources.
Yeah.
And all these, plus of course the immense amount of geothermal energy, makes investment within renewable energy the best go-to solution.
Okay.
And that makes it affordable. Because when you have quite a lot of these resources, then making them affordable, accessible to the consumers within the country becomes easy. Okay. What we need to do as a country, and that's what the government has been doing, is to look at ways in which we can harvest these resources and make them accessible to the communities. And as we talk now, most of our electricity is sourced from renewable energy. We have on-grid, like you've mentioned, up to 19% of our resources. Currently, the households have up to 15 units of their electricity in the month, the first ones as corporate. You pay up to 250 Ugandan shillings per unit for the first 15 units that you consume. And of course, anything above that goes to about 750. However, the immense resources that we have in solar have made it very cheap, and globally, the amount of money one needs to invest in solar as a source of energy or electricity for that case is going down over time. So I think progressively these resources are becoming the go-to resources for this country. And that is bound to increase as innovations come, and as we come in partnership with some of our government partners and other government initiatives that are making it easier for us to access these resources and making the prices to go down for the upfront costs that a household would need to invest in. So government has put in place a number of initiatives, including policy options that are making it affordable for communities to access cheaper resources. As you're already aware, we have a plans around rural electrification that again are increasing access to these resources. So I think
when you talk about rural electrification, residents somewhere in Kachili the other day, they took the poles. The poles were installed. Some weird Ugandan came in the night and they started to see them. I was following this case. It was very bewildering to my eyes, and to follow up at the police level, they didn't know who this was. So when I hear you say that under the era, these are going to be expedited and cascaded down to the people, I love the option that we don't now need to use poles, because the 1 inches, they are not informed. Some of them are taking these poles and fellow citizens, this is for your own good. So with renewable energy, I think we have more options. Someone will actually just get a solar, put it up there, and then we run.
Yeah, sure. The government of Uganda is coming up with a very punitive strategy that will curtail vandalism of the investments government is investing in.
Life imprisonment.
That could be one of the options that we are going to have. We are part of this strategy, first of all, is to communicate, to make sure that the people out there know the value of this investment. It is you, the taxpayer out there, that pays for these materials that are being vandalized.
That's true.
So the more we continue vandalizing, breaking down this infrastructure, you're going to have to pay more. So government is coming up with a strategy, and this is key on the priority of the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, to make sure that our citizens, the taxpayer out there, know that it is our role to protect this infrastructure that gets vandalized every day.
Okay.
But beyond just the punitive measures, government has also come up with a communication strategy to make sure that we have people out there that appreciate that this is our own. If we continue vandalizing it, we are the ones that are going to lose. And once that message goes out there, and I'm happy that NTV has given us a chance again.
I am willing to be part of that strategy.
So we want to communicate and tell my mother out there,
yes,
my grandfather out there, that the tax that we continue paying is what is going to go to pay for the vandalized materials, such that we make it affordable to access power in this country.
The key word there I love, Mr. Issa, it is the affordability, because every time I traverse this country and you find the people at the bottom of the pyramid, energy, it's a big conversation. It's a very big conversation. Mr. Komakech, given all this, we have seen the inclusion of the women at the forefront, and this means a lot to them. We have had the government policies and, you know, strategy. They all seem to fall in place. Now, briefly tell us about the Energy and the Minerals Week, because you are at the level where you are. And you sit on this association that brings all the renewable energy experts in the in the same forum. We need to understand, what is this Energy Week about, and the conference that is the CREED, and who has been invited to attend? Am I invited to attend as a Ugandan? If I'm not invited, what other portals and platforms can I be a part of this conversation?
Great question. I'll allow my panelists to as well chip in. So the Energy and Minerals Week has always been running. It started as far back as, I think, 2006. And so this is basically a week dedicated to energy activities. So at first it used to be called the Energy Week. Then later on, because of the way the ministry functions, there is the mineral part of it. So basically we added the Energy and Mineral Weeks. So during this Energy and Mineral Week, which is starting today, there's a lot of activity. You have exhibitions that are going on right now. You have a lot of forums. So there are three high-level discussions that are going to be held this week. One is what we shall be in tomorrow as well, and that would be mainly on the renewable energy sector. And that conference is the Renewable Energy Conference. And then on Thursday, we have the Power Forum. So, and then on Friday, there is something dedicated to the oil sector. So the entire week is basically a week of increased activity. It's a week where we having companies come to exhibit their products, what they're doing, innovation-wise, but also this is the chance for people to come out there and see, you know, to ask those questions. Now, as a representative of the private sector, you know, there are lots of challenges. And in particular for us, tomorrow's event is very important because we're looking at launching together with the ministry, launching, I mean, this is basically the ministry that is leading it, and basically we are helping to push. Because how it functions is, government usually enacts the policies, but then normally private sector runs fast. You know, if private sector will go ahead with the deployment of the things, we'll bring it in to talk about the solar panels. So solar came in a long time ago, even before some of the policies came in. But then because of the way the private sector, probably like lack of skills, lack of enough capacity there, the technology starts to lose its credibility, and actually the consumer starts to feel maybe this doesn't work. But however, when the right policy is there, like when you add this basically with a strong private sector action, then you can have a growing sector.
I love the fact that you hinted about something to do with innovation, and given that you come from the private sector, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing when it gets to innovation? Because this generation has a lot of strength when it gets to innovation, but there are some challenges, and in one way or the other, in the energy they're there, but they cannot run so fast as they should run. Government is here. Let's talk.
And let me look at no, you're very right. So there are lots of challenges, especially for us as Uganda, and by extension all of us, like within the African region. Our innovations don't seem to be making out there. This is mainly because of one is like the ability or that room we have to play around with what we want to do. So most times you have finance limitation, so you only have one, or if you're lucky, you only have once or twice to basically try out something.
That's a big if.
Yeah, that's a big if. And like from us,
yes.
The key issue that the companies face is financing, access to cheap financing.
Yeah.
If you manage to get money from the banks, normally you're going to be paying 22%. This is at
as an innovator.
I mean, like, so this is local currency, so that's very expensive. But then we don't have the room to basically compete with the others, because if you're having governments that are putting in lots of like big budgets to allow innovation, to allow you to try to so before a product even makes it to the market and to be able to be scaled, there's enough period for incubation. So we don't have that chance. Probably I'll let Dr. jump in here.
I think in addition to what Engineer just said, we have this challenge in our innovation sector of duplication, because the sector is predominantly fragmented. So with the little resources that we have as a sector, when we start to do research, someone is doing something small somewhere.
Yes.
And we don't have that united platform where we can put our resources together.
Okay,
so
as innovators.
You don't have resources, but innovators are fragmented. And if you look at, for example, the centers of research like universities and national research centers, there is a gap between those that are doing research and the industry.
Oh, yeah.
So until we bridge that gap and bring all these together to work together, that is going to be a challenge, because resources may not become available tomorrow.
Is government coming up with policy frameworks that allow the bridging of the gaps? Are you talking to these fragmented innovators to possibly come in one particular hub, and the hub that does not, there is this, Mr. Isabiri, there are innovators in this country who have gone out and they're crying. They came up with good ideas, but because the big hubs have the big say and the big money, their ideas are taken away. Now, when we talk about renewable energy and we have innovators, from your perspective as government, are you bringing these innovators in regards to renewable energy? Are they in one cluster? Are you talking to them?
Perfect. I think that's part of what we shall be launching at this platform, at this conference.
Okay.
We have come up with a national renewable energy platform.
Nice.
Which is a platform that will bring together 3 of the core actors in the landscape. The first actor in this landscape is the private sector, which is the industry. So what Engineer represents is the private sector within the renewable energy landscape. Then you have government with our core role of providing that enabling environment. But of course you have the development partners that provide the resources. So we have set up a platform that will now unite the whole sector. We have a platform that has the development partners, you have government, and you have the industry speaking together. At that level, you can be able to come up with plans, harmonize them. You are speaking from the same plan of action. The little resources that you have are consolidated. So if anyone came to invest in this sector, we'll have that one-stop center platform that they can now have all the resources put in.
Nice.
So all the researchers will have to speak from the same platform. We shall have the same priorities for research, the same source of resourcing, and then government will come in, provide that much needed policy support to this platform. And that should reduce the duplication within the sector.
That makes a lot of sense. Those on Twitter, I am following the conversation. Please just make sure you're following this conversation. I've seen a couple of responses, and I'll drop them to them. When I come back to you, Kotilda, one of the highlights of the just concluded COP26 was the discussion on clean cooking. And I'm grateful that you started with the clean cooking. What advances in transformative renewable energy development should the viewer and the participants look out for in this conference coming up?
Thank you so much, Andrew. But before I go to that question, I wanted to add to the conversation of innovations and some of the challenges.
Nice.
We have had an opportunity as CARE to work with some of these innovators with the private sector. Of course, still looking for solutions that are suitable for a rural woman.
Nice.
Our experience shows that indeed financing is an issue. Why? Because these innovations, it takes a while to incubate them to a level where someone else can run with them. You know, but the financing that is available is not that patient. So you have financing that comes with a cost, and yet a solution is still being cooked, you know. And then when you have innovated it, when you have it ready, then the community takes a while to adopt, you know. So then you have to court them, you know. And in the process of courting them, you have to make adjustments to your solution. So all this while, if your financing it has a cost to it, you know, you're paying an interest, you know, the interest is growing. So the beauty with, you know, the kind of work that we are doing as civil society is because the kind of financing that we are accessing, it's grants. The only problem is it is time bound. But because it is a grant, you have an opportunity to innovate, to go back and forth until you have adjusted the solution well enough that it is suitable for the. So as we are talking about innovation, I think even to the financiers, to the development partners, we need to be aware that it takes a while for you to develop a good solution. And therefore, whatever financing you're going to provide, it needs to be, you know, a combination. Give a grant and build capacity, you know, of these SMEs to be able to journey with their innovation. When they have reached a level where they can run with it, you know, and the public can pay for it, then you can release them. They can now go to the banks. They can get, you know, that kind of capital.
I have a dream, Clotilde, that one day, just like Namibia, will have an innovation bank, a bank for innovators, just for them. Their interests, their terms are totally different. Maybe it will work one day.
That's a call to the banks.
Komakechi will respond to that. But I did talk about you two talk about the transformative renewable energy with regards to clean cooking.
Yes. So tomorrow at the conference, you know, this conference is going, like they have indicated, it's going to bring together a number of players. Private sector players, civil society. It's going to bring together development partners. So it's you know, everybody in that whole chain, you know, of renewable energy. So we are going to have a mini exhibition, and we are going to have, you know, technology developers bringing their solutions. But we shall also have an opportunity to talk about them. We'll have, for example, innovations in solar. Dr. Isabi has talked about this. You know, solar has evolved. And as we are speaking now, we have you know, cooking is quite close to my heart, so I'll keep going back to it.
Very close to us, because we also love to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll keep going back to it. So we have, for example, a possibility now to cook with 100% solar energy. Like you have a solar stove that, you know, you just plug in and you're cooking with the energy from the sun. So we have technologies, a number of innovations in the solar subsector. We have innovations on biofuels, for example, fuel that is coming from, you know, organic matter from sugarcane, from, you know, plants, you know, and you're able to do, for example, what is close to maybe like paraffin, you know, but you have ethanol that is almost similar to like paraffin, but it is coming from things that we have in our homes. Some of it is byproducts, you know, and you're able to make fuel out of them, and you're able to use this fuel in your home. We have innovations in, you know, these off-grid solutions that he has been talking about. You're not connected to the national...
I love the off-grid because...
Yes, the national hydroelectric grid. But you're somewhere in the rural area, and there is this grid, you know, that is able to supply you with fuel. You know, these options. But also talking about the future. Is it possible, for example, for a particular company to produce their own energy? You know, and if they have byproducts that they can make fuel out of it, then they produce their own energy, but also sell some, you know, the excess to a grid somewhere, and the community around accesses it. Sugar companies, for example, are able to do this. Can we see more of these, you know, solutions? So we are going to be talking through some of the available technologies, and the players are going to be in the room. Some of those are going to be exhibited within the particular room. I'll request Dr. Isabire to add on to some of these solutions that we are going to be able to talk through tomorrow. Yeah,
thank you very much again. We in this country have a challenge in terms of sourcing for energy for cooking. As it stands now, only 1% of households and institutions cook with clean energy in this country. We are talking about gas, LPG, which you call gas naturally, locally. Talking about biogas that we could easily produce because we have a lot of agricultural practices going on. To cooking with electricity, so only 1% of all the households and institutions in this country use clean energy for cooking. And the share of clean energy in our cooking sector is just 8%, 18%.
Those are worrying figures.
So that means that 82% of Ugandans cook with unclean sources of energy. You're talking about charcoal, you're talking about wood.
Firewood,
and you know they have a lot of attendant challenges. So what we want to discuss at this conference tomorrow is to bring people to speak around the cooking in this country, access to clean energy. So we have invited participants that have a lot of experiences and best better options for cooking clean. So there will be the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development exhibiting the use of LPG, which we call locally we call gas for cooking. We also have the ministry and other partners like Clotilda said, exhibiting the use of ethanol for cooking. These are clean sources of cooking. But as we transition along the clean cooking trajectory, we want to move away from the poor ones, which is charcoal and firewood. It will take us some time towards electricity. So our trajectory for clean cooking will have to take some time, but we are looking at eventually ending up cooking with electricity because that's the most ideal. So these are some of the discussions that we want to have tomorrow, and I'm sure the participants that will attend the conference tomorrow will be able to even raise their knowledge and be able to see that there are things that they thought were not possible, but which are possible. Just this morning we were talking to one of the innovators that is really excited about this opportunity that is going to demonstrate a technology that uses solar and has up to 1.2 kilowatts power. So this particular technology a household can use it for cooking, but there's also an option for you to supply to your neighbors in the next room some of this power. You can also charge your phone. So we are looking at having a whole set of clean cooking, but also looking at other productive uses that we can use with these technologies.
That makes sense. Engineer Kenna, when we look at all this conversation, beyond the REP, what other innovative partnerships and innovation and initiatives that people from your association could possibly tap into in the discourse of innovation, especially from the private sector perspective?
Maybe just take a step back a little bit.
The Innovation Bank?
No. You know, the role that renewables play.
Yes.
So we are coming off 2 weeks since we had this big event in Glasgow, and all the top people were sitting to discuss about climate change. So, and the point here is the whole world is trying to galvanize and say, let us keep the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. Now, for us in the sector, this simply means that renewables have a very big role. For a country like Uganda, we actually we are very much endowed with renewables. So the opportunities for renewables to power homes, to power this economy is very high. And basically, much as we know that there are so many opportunities, there are also so many challenges. And so at the REP, I mean beyond the REP, and at tomorrow's conference, you're going to look into initiatives that help, you know, the enabling environment from the financial point of view. So you have things such as the climate change aggregator platform, which is basically looking at how do you bundle up small projects together so that you can basically access more financing. You're going to look at, there's going to be a discussion on the multi-actor platform where many actors are coming together and say, can we have 100% renewable in, for example, Uganda, where even the transport sector is powered by renewable energy. So there are lots of discussions of this nature. We are going to look at the value of productive use. You know, productive use of energy is the most important as we speak right now, because then it brings down the cost of these systems. Because if more people are actually using the energy, that means that the overall cost of the overall cost that you'll be paying is slightly reduced. So, government and we want to promote this productive use, because then it gives you some money in your pocket, but also it kind of helps bring down the prices of electricity. So this meeting tomorrow, this conference, will have all these actors here, those who have the clever financial mechanisms that are there for the sector. And for me, to all my members and to all the companies who we represent, tomorrow's event would help them basically to know, like, where can I get help when it comes to financing my innovations? Where can maybe I'm having things stuck, you know, at the border, issues like taxes, issues like quality, you know. Much as we talk about finances, quality and standards are still a very big issue. So yeah, I don't want to talk about the discussion.
One critical statement you've said is clean financing. Please note, innovators, don't be so much gullible to unclean financing if you're going to be in renewable energy. Uganda Coalition, there is, Uganda Coalition on Twitter, you're saying that thank you so much for this conversation, especially Tilda, Cotilda. Very reason why clean cooking should vividly be part of Uganda's national climate plan.
True.
Dr. Isabide, they are now coming to you here. They're saying that, Dr. Isabide, you should be part of this conversation. Going forward, another person here is saying that I think this is Maria Namboira. Namboira is, I think you need to take action for this time around, because someone has actually explained it here. You say that okay, they're looking at different renewable energies and how they can actually tap into. Someone is in agriculture, he said with my cow dung and all that, they can tap into the biogas energy and all that. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I'm getting a couple of tweets and I'm reading here. Coming back to you, Cotilda, financing is one of the biggest challenges across the development space in Uganda. We won't hide away from that. Sure. How does the REC 21 plan to engage the various stakeholders, besides what you said and what he said, but from the care perspective, how can we be in position to avail credit facilities to women innovators in the rural setting, in the peri-urban areas, or even in the urban areas, that their innovations and direction towards renewable energy is achieved?
Although I'm not going to talk for the innovators.
Yes.
But
we can scale it up beyond the innovators.
Yes, I want to talk for to the Renewable Energy Conference that is coming tomorrow.
Yes.
Like Dr. Isabiri and Engineer Kena have said, you know, it's going to bring together a cross-section of actors. So in this room, you're going to have the financiers, the ones who have the money. You're going to also have the innovators, the ones who are, you know, innovating and producing these solutions for us. But you're going to also have those that deploy the solutions, you know, those that, you know, get from the solution developers and spread it, you know. So you're going to have everyone in the same room. So it's the conversation is going to help those who have the money to understand what the actual needs of the technology developers are. What kind of financing is needed? What do they actually only need money? Because sometimes we think they only need the money. But they need once we give them money, they are going to run with, you know, the money, and they're going to use it. And then it is sitting there. Nobody's asking for it. Everybody asks, they don't come back. And then you begin wondering, why we have provided this, you know, this facility, there is this facility, government has come up with a number of facilities, and then they're not accessing it. So the conversation tomorrow is going to help, you know, the whole sector to understand what are the actual needs, you know, of the technology developers, of these SMEs, so that as we are moving forward together with a good understanding of what needs to be done, so that as you're developing your facility, your financing facility, you're very much aware about what the kind of needs are. You're able to provide the flexibility, you know, that is required. It's not going to always be free money, you know, but you can come from a well-informed, you know, position where you understand, well, before I give an SME money, we need to have this capacity building plan in place. We need to hold their hands up to this level. At this level, they are ready for this amount of financing. Then we can probably mentor them for this period of time. You know, those kinds of programs is what we are looking forward to. And we hope that in the conversations tomorrow, we are going to come up with recommendations, you know, for both sides. The SMEs, what should they do to be able to access this financing? How should they prepare? And then the ones who have the money, what kind of changes do they need to make so that this money can be accessible to those who need it?
Just on Twitter here, Doctor, before you come in, thank you so much. Nuru on Twitter says, will this conference be in our mother tongue, because some of us are missing out? Well, Nuru, the fact that you've understood what we're talking about, I want to request you as a great citizen, kindly interpret for the locals within your area. And I guarantee you NTV will try our best to actually put it in the local languages that would be understood. But again, don't just stop here at the TV. Go at your district level. There are people in charge of the energy conversations, and ask about these platforms, and you'll be in position to tap into it. Going a little bit faster, Dan says, how do I become a part of Mr. Komakechi's association? He will explain that in a bit. The conversation is still going on. This is a conversation, and you're going to know how. Someone again asked, he said, you still didn't explain where they can be a part of this conversation tomorrow when you're starting in your introductory remarks. So one, how does one join your association of renewable energy and
energy efficiency?
Yes. And then what platforms do they have? Will it be on Zoom? Will it be on TV? Will it be on radio? Then Mr. Isabel will respond to the language issues. Okay.
That is a fair distribution.
Yes.
No, so I think it's very nice to hear that there are many people who want to join us. I think this is where we need to go. I think if we cannot basically work in silos. When we work collectively, it's easy for us to work, I mean, to help as well government when it comes to basically how do we push the renewable energy sector forward. So the Uganda National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Alliance, we are an umbrella organization. We actually formed by 6 other associations, and each of these associations have a technology that they represent. So you have solar. So solar is the largest. There are more than 250 members. Those are who are registered. Then you have wind, you have hydropower, you have biogas, then you have bioenergy, and then there's the energy efficiency group. So all these 6 together come and then they form the alliance. So to anybody who wants to join UNREA, I mean, like, there are very many avenues. All you have to do is pick one of the associations and then to join that. But also you can go on our website. It's now very easy. You can actually sign in to join the alliance directly as well. Online, yes.
Nice.
We are going to be launching actually a more user-friendly website next week, and which somebody can be able to sign in. There's going to be a lot of benefits that comes in, because part of it is this advocacy, this representation. And then we also bring together that, like, how do we brokerage the conversation with government, and then also try to do the capacity building skills and upskilling of individuals in the sector, so that we can all contribute to a sustainable sector.
Okay. About the conference tomorrow, how do I become a viewer or a participant from my end?
About the conference tomorrow, or about the entire event?
The entire event, I think. Because
the entire week.
We focus a lot on conference, so I think someone thought that it's just going to be the conference.
So this entire week is actually an energy and minerals week. So the week is running up to Saturday. So there are going to be lots of events going on. There's a lot of media. So there's a media exhibition right now going on at Amber House. So if somebody wants to go there, you can go see the technologies being represented, being exhibited. Tomorrow in particular, we are going to be at Misteel. So there is also another exhibition there. So we are trying to arrange, and probably, Doctor, you'll correct me here, but if possible, some of these are going to be aired on TV, but most of it, this following, is going to be through Twitter. You know, it's nice for us to have these comments. I mean, like, the challenges that you're facing as an entrepreneur in this sector or an innovator, let's hear them, because then through this platform that we're going to launch tomorrow, we can actually get government to answer that.
Dr. Isabi,
yes,
here we are. Someone out there is saying that, is this conversation going to be in the language they understand? Because this is a very passionate conversation, but she felt that we're discussing it in English. Yet we're talking about Cotilda's woman who is in the village, who does not possibly understand English, a girl child who dropped out of school 2 years ago because of COVID, and this is very passionate to them.
Yes, it's very interesting to know that the Ugandans out there are interested in this conversation. To start with, even before this week, we have been sending out summaries of these conferences, conference sessions. So we have a lot of videos running, summarizing most of the key sessions that we are going to have. Yes, those could be, the translation is in English currently, but we received comments from some of the participants to the conference, particularly those that are representing the consumer groups. And we are trying to translate some of the videos, I mean, within the video, such that the narration is in some of these languages, particularly Uganda. And I'm sure by close of tomorrow, some of them will be running with some translation within some of the local languages. But going forward, I think it's a challenge on our side, and even tomorrow at the conference we should have some of the media invited from the different local media houses. I know we've invited some from the Far East, we have some from the East, and there are quite a number of media houses from Central that should speak in Uganda. That's a job for us after this show, to make sure that we have as many languages represented at the show. And of course, going forward, the materials that we produce, it's very important that we translate them. And this is one of the take-home lessons that we'll have as we develop this platform that is going to bring us together. But before that, there was a comment about the climate change issues. Amongst the policies that guide our development of energy and minerals in this country, we are bound by the climate change policy of 2015, which again has a whole section dedicated to clean energy or green energy per se. And we're also bound by the gender policy. We have the environment and social safeguards policy. And of course, as we subscribe to international initiatives such as the SDG, and particularly SDG 7, that talks about access to modern and clean energy, diversifying our energy mix, and of course increasing or doubling the rate of efficiency. So all these bring in aspects of climate, and I think that is covered. The other small bit I wanted to add on the aspect on financing, which my sister Cotilda answered quite well, is that as part of the conversation tomorrow, since we have an opportunity to put all of us on the same table, we are starting a campaign to discuss possibilities of us having this trust, the renewable energy trust in this country. So we have set a modest starting point. We want to collect 1 trillion Ugandan shillings towards this one trust that can be managed by the Minister of Finance or Minister of Energy or any other agreed platform. This would give us the seed capital that we can now use within the sector for innovators, particularly those local innovators that don't have access to financing. So this is an area that we want to discuss. But as you're aware, government also has policies that some of which speak to providing financing within the sector. So because we have an opportunity to discuss some of our policies and how they've worked, it's going to be an opportunity for government to know where else do we need to put money. And contribution to this particular trust is going to be the role of government also. Put in some seed money and lead, so that when the development partners see that we are running from the front, they should be able to support us. So that session on financing was going to discuss that trust fund as well.
That makes sense. About the language, thank you so much. By the people sending in these tweets, this is very interesting. Someone says, Andrew, please drop these to Dr. Brian Isavidie. Have you considered the sign language people in all these conversations? That's the question that has come through.
Yes, certainly we have someone, service provider that will be doing sign language.
Okay, thank you so much.
And the halls that we have taken consideration of the vulnerable communities, particularly people with disabilities like that they can access. But there will be a full-time interpreter within the hall.
Wow, there you go. I think now you're comfortable with where the conversation is going. Cotilda, what else should people look out for at the Rec 21 and the future events that are coming after this conference?
So I'm happy that you're starting to also talk about the future, because Rec is not going to stop tomorrow. The Renewable Energy Conference. Just before we started this program, we were here, you know, just discussing what the future should be like. And we're thinking that maybe because of the importance of renewable energy and the interest, maybe we should make it a week-long, you know, like event of just renewable energy. Of course, you know, part of the energy and minerals, maybe month, I don't know. And what, I mean, our dream is, let's go to Nambole, for example, and have all these innovators coming, you know, and have a big place where we are not afraid that, you know, COVID is going to stop us and everything. And people can be able to, you know, touch, to see, feel, you know, and feel these technologies and have conversations for a much more prolonged time. Because as you can see on Twitter, the comments, the questions, the desires to even speak in local languages, that is a challenge on us. So you don't want to limit this in just one day. So this is the thinking in the future. But we have to start somewhere. Of course. We can't start from the top of the tree. We have to climb slowly. So tomorrow, definitely, like we have said, we are going to have high-level discussions, you know, of government, of development partners, of private sector. And then we are going to have, of course, the users of the technology coming in, the developers of the technology coming in. So we are going to have these panel discussions and conversations which we would have wished, you know, that the public can really be part of, but because of limitations of COVID and of course the financing, you know, we are unable to make sure that it is on each media house. But it is really our wish that through social media, we can get as many comments coming in, you know, through Twitter, that people can, you know, send in their comments. And as Dr. Isabidi has said, permitting, we might also provide maybe an online option for a few people to participate in that. So tomorrow really is an event that we hope is going to generate recommendations. So tomorrow we're starting our journey into the future. Starting our journey into the future. So the platform, the renewable energy platform that he talked about, so the recommendations that we are getting from the conference to be taken forward by the renewable energy platform, which is bringing together. So the conversation will continue through the renewable energy platform, building onto probably next year a much bigger event. Dr. Engineer Komakech, you want to tap into that?
Yeah, I think next, so far for us, we think this is a good start, and we think next year will be even much greater. From us listening in to all these questions coming in, we want the event to actually be like more to allow more conversation next year. So I think we're going to start earlier. We're going to have, like, for example, calls for papers. We're going to have, I mean, like calls for some reaction way in advance. Try to engage the youth. Try to engage all the different parts of the sector. We capture this view so that by the time we come to the climax of the conference, all this can be presented. So there's basically a great opportunity next year for university students, for somebody who wants to join the renewable energy sector, because let's, speak facts here, because the renewable energy sector right now is employing very many people. Yeah, that's true. So all the stuff builders, everybody who is making, the solar installation guys, all these are basically creating jobs. So I'm sure there's somebody who is watching and saying, like, how do I become, how do I join the sector? How do I work there? So we want to basically open this space next year and start much earlier and allow, work with academia, work with different people who are like different innovators to capture in views as early as possible, and then also allow them room to basically present what they think, because solving the issue of climate change is collective. So somebody may have some other method that he's trying down there, and we are not seeing. So let's give room for them to come up Let's give room for them to actually be exposed, and we get these issues here, put them into the platform, and then they make it into mainstream policy.
That makes sense. Dr. Isabide, your parting words as we're finalizing this conversation, what would be the best outcome of this REC Conference 21?
We think, like my colleagues have just said, that...
just a minute, Dr. Isabide, and what's my call to action as a citizen watching, now your government?
Yes. We want to call upon every Ugandan to take interest in this renewable energy sector, because on a daily we live this sector. And we have talked about a number of things that are going to take place and the sessions that we are going to discuss in this conference. The outcomes of this conference are going to be shared with every Ugandan, and including those that support this country and particularly the sector. So there will be a call to action for every Ugandan to contribute. You started off this discussion very well by bringing the big topic on vandalism. What we would want to start tomorrow to emphasize that we are using our resources to develop this sector, including the hydro power program projects that we have across this country. So we'd want every Ugandan starting today to start owning these resources that this country is investing in with support from our development partners. So what I would want to get out of this conference is that common platform where we all start to converse about these resources. And that platform should allow us to own the undertakings of this conference and take them forward at our respective levels. And that's why we've invited everyone, including local government representatives. So we are hoping that going forward beyond this workshop, beyond this 1 week of energy and minerals activity, that Ugandans start taking interest and owning the resources and the investments that we have. They should guard these resources jealously. The way you guard your phone is the way we should guard. But we should also take interest in developing these resources at any level that you are. And my sister Kotilda talked about using waste. We have a strong program as the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development to convert these wastes into energy. But that process requires that we sort our wastes. So starting to look around you to see how you're disposing of these wastes, knowing that these wastes could end up as a resource elsewhere. It's what I can do getting out of my house today. So all of us owning this process and making sure that the development that comes from renewable energy, the many jobs, the livelihoods that depend on this, the businesses and industries that are coming from our initiatives in renewable energy are taken up and owned by all of us is going to be a key output of this conference.
Wow. Thank you so much. The conversation has been very, very passionate. Someone here on Twitter, you chose violence, but I'll still read your comment. Mwesugwa, you say that NTV should bring us more of these programs because now I understand what renewable energy is and how I can scale up my saloon in Mitiana. Well, you started wrongly, but I will uphold you for watching and making sense of this, and thank you so much for working out. But these conversations are going to be carried on tomorrow, and it's an energy week. Go to Amber House, go check out the different innovations that are being exhibited by innovators in this country, but don't stop there. Take the action Dr. Brian Isabide has actually alluded to earlier on. But just so remember that in studios we had Dr. Brian Isabide. He happens to be the Commissioner, Renewable Energy Department from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. We had Ms. Kotilda Nacheyune, who happens to come. She's the programs manager from the Climate Justice Program, that is a CARE International Uganda, very passionate about women and the girl child to stay safe with regards to renewable energy. And we had Engineer Alexander Komakech Akena, the chairperson, Uganda National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association. And if you want to be a part of that association, if you're an innovator or someone in the renewable energy forums, well, he told you to go online, search them up, and you sign up. And this program was powered by CARE International, the Ministry of Energy, and the Uganda National Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency Association. My name is Andrew Chamagranda. As a Ugandan, I'll tell you, we as media, we're going to carry this conversation. I'm much more intrigued about the innovations that allow the women to run after their dreams, not focusing on cooking alone, but again, scaling up these innovations from the rural level to the national level. Be a part of the conversation and be a part of the Renewable Energy Week at the different forums. Good afternoon.